Welcome back to the channel. I'm Bob Will, and this is Metal and Madness. Now, today's reaction is to Ren's Money Game Part 3. Part 1 and 2 you can find on my channel. It's been a little while getting around to Part 3. I won't bore you to death, but it's due to copyright issues and just general dickery from YouTube. So without further ado, if you enjoy this, please do like, subscribe, share, leave a comment, and yeah, we're just going to get into it. Let's go. Yeah, and great camera work, and I'm assuming it's going to be a one shot or one take. Ooh. That's a nice shot. Yeah, excellent video work. Love this shot. The Ren in the mirror, guy on the piano, or person on the piano. Yeah, again, just brilliant camera work, isn't it? Brilliant setup, brilliant, just brilliant everything.
Let me tell you a story about a boy named Jimmy. 1 year old and his first words were mine, mine, gimme. 2 years old he was walking, 3 years old walking quickly. 4 years old he was running round the pavements of his city. 5 years old and his daddy told him, listen here son, you gotta learn to be a man. A man, he works for what he wants. 6 years old and he's reading, writing, top of the bunch. And when he's 7, his progression made him student number 1. 8 years old and he's praised for unusual grades. 9, his parents paid for private school to nurture the flame. 10, 11, 12, 13, he ascends and ascends. His daddy tells him, son, money is the means to all ends. 14, solving complex mathematical equations. At 15, IQ 150, still elevating. 16, he develops complex software code that detects weaknesses in cybersecurity protocols. 17, and he sells his vision, keeping the share. Not yet an adult, but he's practically a millionaire. 18, and his daddy tells him, now you're a man. This world don't give a damn about you, so take all that you can. 19,
Christ, his dad's a bit of a dick, isn't he, to be fair? Yeah, well, a hell of a story to start with. I'm assuming it's going to be Jimmy's story from start to end. Again, great storytelling. Yeah, so we're just going to get into the lyrics. I've got the lyrics pulled up. I'm just going to paraphrase as per usual. Yeah, great bit of storytelling off the bat. So we've got sort of Jimmy's formative years, you know, from 1 year old up to 18. So, you know, we've got the early development, sort of stage 1 to 4 year old. Jimmy's first words, mine, mine, give me. That sort of symbolises a natural sort of selfishness, doesn't it? Possibly sort of foreshadowing later on, his later greed as such, when then, he quickly progresses from walking to running, again, sort of signifying early ambition and drive. Then 5 years old, first time we sort of hear Dad brought in, when he introduces the idea that, being a man means working for what you want. This line, or that line, just sort of, sets up the sort of rigid, success-driven ideology then that Jimmy then internalises, from a very young age. We've got 6 to 9 where 6 to 9 year old where he starts to excel in school, becomes a top student with his reading and his writing. His parents then invest in his future by enrolling him in private education. I'm not sure we're going to hear too much more. His mum doesn't seem to have a great deal of input here. It all seems so far to be Dad. His parents invest in his future, enroll him in private education, which then, will sort of nurture his talent for high achievement. Then we've got the rapid ascent from 10 to 13, where his intelligence and skills continue to grow, and his father, again, reinforces the belief that, money is the ultimate goal. Then we go sort of 14 to 17, again, paraphrasing, I'm not going to do every line. 14 to 17, you've got sort of Jimmy sort of starts to show his sort of genius, and he touches on wealth creation as well. So, he reaches a higher level of intelligence, solving the complex maths problems, 14 to 17, an IQ of 150. So, again, sort of compounded then, or confirmed, is sort of higher level of intelligence by creating the cybersecurity software, showcasing again his talent in tech. Then at 17 he starts making money. So at 17 years old he's already achieving financial success before what we class as adulthood. 18 years old, Dad Dick comes back in, and he's now officially an adult. And his father is once again sort of reinforcing a harsh worldview, where the world doesn't care about you, so take everything you can. This sort of solidifies Jimmy's mindset then, doesn't it? Pushing him towards ruthless ambition, greed. And I suppose, the way the story's going, there's going to be some sort of lack of moral restraint. So just through those formative years, the 1 to 18, the part of the story that Wren's telling us, critiques the words I'm looking for, capitalist-driven ambition. So, showing how society rewards intelligence, but often at the cost of morality. With Jimmy's father is the driving force behind his success at the moment, but he also implants that sort of toxic materialistic philosophy, which again, I'm pretty sure it's going to come back and bite him on the arse. Let's go.
Now you're a man, this world don't give a damn about you, so take all that you can. 19, he turns a profit, stocks and shares, invest in product. 20, double down deposits. 21, his income rockets. 22, he learns the truth is just an obstacle to wealth. If you manipulate the data, then the lie will sell itself. 23, a life of luxury, crystal and cocaine. 24, he makes the Forbes list, they're applauding his name. 25, and his daddy tells him, listen here son, while you're sitting in that palace, that don't mean that you won. 26, a business shift, he switches business to arms. He's 27, dealing nuclear and shells in Iran. 28, inside the Senate, money bought him a seat. He's 29, a role of counsel in the president's suite. Now he's 30.
I'm not going to go too far ahead because I'll just end up getting it completely lost. So we're 1 to 18, we're now 19 to 29. So we get another decade. We ended on, I think I ended on 18 on the last one, so then we've got 19 to 21. Jimmy becomes a major player in investing, profiting from stock shares and businesses. He doubles down doubles down on his success, sort of compounding his wealth rapidly. His income skyrockets, as per the words, sort of signifying his full integration then into wealth accumulation. With 22, this is where things start to get a little bit more dodgy, where Jimmy sort of realizes that honesty is the barrier, or a barrier, to him making more money. And he learns that manipulating data and selling lies is more profitable than the truth. So again, that line, when Jimmy reaches 22, sort of critiques corporate greed, misinformation, and the moral decay that comes with unchecked capitalism. Then we've got 23 to 24. Jimmy is now extremely wealthy, so he's indulging in a life of luxury. There's the crystal, the champagne, cocaine, just general excess. He achieves mainstream success, making it onto the Forbes list. Society applauds. People on the Ford list. Society applauds Jimmy's financial achievements, despite any sort of ethical concerns they may have. That's pretty much how it normally goes. But again, this sort of highlights the way that capitalist success is often sort of glorified regardless of the means used to achieve it. Then we've got 25. Once again, in comes Dad. Despite all Jimmy's success, his father sort of warns him that he hasn't truly won. To me that implies that he's saying, wealth alone isn't real success, or that Jimmy's still sort of a servant to larger forces then, for want of a better couple of words. Whether those larger forces are corporate, political, or even criminal power structures. Again, foreshadowing his possible downfall. Then we take a nice turn into sort of ages 26 to 27, where we've got the transition then into arms dealing as well. So, in seeking sort of greater power and profit, he's shifting from what we could say is traditional business methods then to selling weapons. So he becomes an arms dealer, trading nuclear weapons, and I think it was shells in Iran. So again, this sort of marks a turning point where he directly profits from war, or from war and destruction, showing how greed erodes morality even further. Then we got 28 to 29 we could bring in together. We've got political influence, corruption. Jimmy's wealth and power allows him to buy his way into politics. He gains a seat at Senate, through financial influence. He's no longer just a businessman now, he's now sort of shaping government policies from the inside. So Tony mentions, his role in the president's suite. That sort of suggests, deep political corruption, showing how, as I probably touched on it, how money can control nations and manipulate global events, which it does. Again, I'm not going to go too far into this, because strangely, as you can probably tell, I'm not normally this animated, but this story is making me a little bit angry. The overall sort of theme for those 10 years, it sort of highlighting the evolution of unchecked ambition and into full-scale corruption. Jimmy starts by manipulating markets, quickly moves into war profiteering, and then shows how wealth can buy influence, power, and immunity from accountability. So, but then, again, his father, the warning suggests that, despite your power, you're still a pawn in a larger game, hinting that what would I say? Hinting that true control is an illusion then. Bit of a dark shift there. Let's get back into it.
7 dealing nuclear and shells in Iran. 28 inside the Senate, money bought him a seat. He's 29, a role of counsel in the president's suite. Now he's 30, his daddy says you're losing the race. You're just a servant to the king, not even in second place. 31, a big maneuver for his daddy's approval. Moving imports over borders from the exports out of Cuba. 32, moving grams, growing kilos to tons. He's 33, filling warehouses with powder and guns. 34, turf war with nobody to stop it. Blind eye from the po-po inside of his pocket.
No.
35, he gets a call. I'm sorry, son, but it's your father. Had a heart attack. I'm sorry, he's gone.
So there's a loss.
Getting pissed off, abusing his product. 37, eyes glazed, disposition demonic. 38, with a prostitute, a moment of passion. Heating up a silver spoon and then chasing the dragon. 39, getting reckless and hungry for power. Daddy's words are still driving him to kill and devour. Makes a move against the cartel, but the strategy's flawed. They retaliate and leave him in a hospital ward. A bullet buried in his vertebra and one in his leg. The doctor sighs and says, I don't think you'll be walking again. Fuck.
Wow. I love the space he leaves in the story for you to actually think about it and absorb it.
Let me
Jenna, leave it there. And go back to, what did we get to? 30, wasn't it? 29, 30. So, yeah. Well, we'll get to the end bit there. But 30, just reading through the lyrics again a bit quick, because that was quite a long couple of verses. So yeah, at 30, despite sort of Jimmy's power and wealth, you know, his father, dad is back in his ear again, isn't he, chirping, belittling him again, saying, you know, you're losing the race. You know, the phrase, the servant to the king, not even in second place. That suggests that, you know, Jimmy, despite his status, as I said earlier, is still a pawn in a larger system. You know, it could sort of implying that true power lies elsewhere, perhaps with, I don't know, the unseen elites who control economies, politics, crime. Yeah, I think the overall thing there is that, you know, his father's influence is still dictating Jimmy's actions, you know, pushing him to seek even more power and control. You know, Jimmy needs a set of balls and stand up for himself. 31 to 33. What have we got? So we move into drugs. So sort of desperate to prove himself then, you know, Jimmy sort of makes a big move in the drug trade, smuggling imports, exports from Cuba. You know, the drug operation sort of grows exponentially, from small scale, grams, to full-blown empire, kilos to tons. You know, his wealth and status are now backed by drugs, weapons, filling warehouses with contraband. So that shift sort of signifies his complete sort of moral collapse now, isn't it? Where he's no longer just manipulating systems, but directly sort of fueling crime and violence. Then we get to 34. And, you know, at age 34, his influence sort of extends so far as to, you know, to get the police to turn a blind eye then. You know, he's got law enforcement in his pocket, he's got the police in his pocket. But then we get the turf war, which again, sort of showing his sort of unchecked ambition, I suppose, is now, you know, leading to open conflict. Again, symbolising the inevitable consequence of extreme capitalism and crime. You know, eventually, violence becomes, the currency of power. Violence becomes the currency of power. 35. Yep, see your dad. Huge loss there. He receives a call. His father's died of a heart attack. But it's a major moment in Jimmy's life, I think, because, his father was that driving force, that voice in his ear from the very young age of, this is what it takes to be a man. Right the way through to the day he had his heart attack, and I suppose. So, Jimmy spent his entire life, didn't he, trying to earn his dad's approval. And now that one person he wanted to impress is gone, dead. So that's going to leave a huge void, which then sort of fuels his self-destruction in the next couple of years. Age 36 to 38, self-destruction and addiction. Without his father's presence, Jimmy sort of spirals into substance abuse, drinking heavily, probably using his own drugs, eyes glazed, disposition demonic. That sort of implies that, he's become a shell of himself, consumed by his vices and past actions. And then we've got the line where with a prostitute, a moment of passion, followed by chasing the dragon, which is, metaphor for heroin use. So that sort of shows his need for power, validation. Power validation, and his, and the pleasure is now a destructive addiction. Then it gets worse, 39. Age 39, the cartel sort of retaliates. So again, still driven by his father's words, even after death, Jimmy makes the reckless move against the cartel. But his plan is flawed, showing that, I suppose, his arrogance and his desperation clouding his judgment. The cartel retaliates, leaving him shot, crippled, powerless in a hospital ward. Excuse me. And then you've got the doctor's final words, "I don't think you'll be walking again." That symbolises more than just sort of physical paralysis, the way that it comes across. To me, it sort of represents the end of, Jimmy's dominance, his inability to rise again, and his complete downfall. Those sort of years, up to 30 to 39. Again, just sort of recapping, the section sort of represents the consequences of a life built on greed, crime, pursuit of power. Jimmy, who was once the unstoppable, is now reduced to a broken man, both physically and emotionally. The death of his father was that breaking point, sort of stripping him of his purpose, and sort of accelerating that self-destruction then. It's karma, but it's also very sad. For want of a better word, it's poetic, isn't it? His downfall is poetic. He rises through manipulation, power, and crime, but ultimately, those are the same sort of forces that destroyed him or are destroying him. Huge turning point where he goes from, the powerful figure to powerless victim of his own choice. Let's get back into it. See where we go.
Let me tell you a story about a boy named Jimmy. He was 40 and he cursed the words, mine, mine, gimme. 41 he wasn't walking,
we've got a full
42
circle.
not walking quickly, 43 never running round the pavements of his city, 44 inside a palace with a mountain of gold. But those riches turn to rubble when perspective evolves. Weighing heavy on his conscience is the value of gold. Lamborghini for a life, trading money for souls. Jimmy followed the code inside the land of the free. Put your hand inside the cookie jar, take more than you need. And his example is exaggerated versions of me. And it's a version of him, and it's a version of she, and it's a version of you. There's no escaping the blame. The way we live is parasitic. Fuck for money and fame. Cut the music.
All right, we'll leave it there because there was quite a bit again in the next few years. Again, Well, I explain as I'm going through it, but the way Ren has turned it, this is Jimmy's story, but it's not just a Jimmy story. Take a look at yourselves. Yeah, absolutely fantastic. So yeah, we got to sort of 39. We stopped on one there, so 40 to 43. We've sort of got regret and reflection then. Let me tell you a story about a boy named Jimmy. And you probably heard me say I did talk over it. Sorry. The story comes full circle, doesn't it? But this time, Jimmy is no longer rising. He's trapped in his downfall. At 40, he curses the words "mine, mine, gimme." So to me, that sort of shows that he now sees the flaw in the greed and materialism that has defined his life so far. The physical progression from his youth is reversed, isn't it? 41, he isn't walking, 42, not walking quickly, 43, never running around his city. This sort of reflects the paralysis, but also sort of symbolizes how his ambition, once unstoppable, has completely halted. Absolutely brilliant. 44, the emptiness of wealth, then, for want of a better phrase. He sits inside his palace surrounded by wealth, but his riches have lost meaning. Absolutely. When perspective evolves, suggests that, his understanding of success has now changed. He now realizes money, power, and crime wasn't worth it. Yeah, too late, though. Way too late. It's the moral cost of greed, isn't it? Weighing heavy on his conscience is the value of gold. So yeah, Jimmy's haunted by the things, he's done in the pursuit of wealth. Then we've got the line, a Lamborghini for life, trading money for souls. That's a metaphor that sort of shows that his success came at the cost of human lives, whether through crime or corruption. But now he understands that the luxury cannot outweigh morality. Simple. Where did we get to? Jimmy followed the code inside the land of the free. Yeah, it's one of the biggest jokes I've ever heard. Land of the free. This line critiques, again, the sort of capitalist system that encourages greed and excess. Let me know what you think on that. Drop a comment. But again, to me, it sort of implies Jimmy, he didn't fail by accident. He simply played the game the way it was designed. It's really that simple. Then we had put your hand inside the cookie jar, take more than you need. Again, it's just an old metaphor, that one, isn't it? For unchecked greed. So, Jimmy took everything he could, just as society encourages people to do. However, the consequences of excess are now very clear to him. And then sort of Ren sort of breaks the fourth wall with his example as exaggerated versions of me. So again, Ren as the narrator, storyteller, sort of acknowledges that Jimmy's story is extreme. But, the underlying message applies to us all, which it does. Then he follows up with the line, it's a version of him, it's a version of she, it's a version of you. Again, that just sort of expands on the critique beyond Jimmy. We're all guilty of some level of selfishness, greed, or just blind ambition. And then we had, there's no escaping the blame. Again, that line sort of forces us, the audience, to confront our role in supporting a system that prioritizes wealth over human lives. That's how I see it. Again, please do drop a comment, let me know. Always open for a debate and a chat. Most of you just tell me apparently what I've missed, or but let me know. I'd love to hear what other people's sort of interpretation of lyrics, songs, stories are. So, don't be afraid to leave an A4 sheet if needed. And then, we've got the way we live is parasitic, the money and the fame. Again, that is sort of rejects the materialistic mindset that Jimmy spent his life chasing. The word parasitic. Well, parasitic suggests that, society is self-destructive, consuming itself for profit. Then we've got the line, cut the music. That signals a serious shift. This isn't just entertainment, it's a warning. The story's a wake-up call, sort of urging us, the audience, then to rethink our values before it's too late. Yeah. Do I feel sorry for Jimmy? A little bit. But then, we all make our own choices. Yeah. So anyhow, the overall sort of theme for that section to me is the climax of Jimmy's downfall, isn't it? So, and a critique of modern society, as it currently is. It reveals Jimmy's fate wasn't, or was not just personal then. It reflects a greater sort of societal issue of greed, corruption, and moral decay, with the final message, sort of challenging us, the audience, as I said earlier, to reflect on our own choices and, question the values that we uphold. So yeah, let's get back into it.
Escaping the blame, the way we live is parasitic. Fuck the money and fame, cut the music. This isn't entertainment, this is real life. The way we live is lunacy, community, it declines.
I said that.
Hyperpolarized, always fighting, then we divide. Truth is less important than the money that we designed. Money's an invention, politics from our invention. They all come from people's ideas. Did I mention? Border's an invention, law and order fuel the tension. It leads to people killing each other. My solution? Everything is subject to change. We could build utopias if individuals were taught to use their brains. But if we teach kids in schools to always be sheep and put themselves before the herd if there's more money for me, then there's no future I see where the humans survive with parasites inside a petri dish with cannibal minds. Mold will grow upon the surface and consumes till it dies. And our fate could be the same without this story to the wise. "45.
Okay. That was an intense piece of narration. Yeah. Just the way he, cut the music. Still no music from carrying on from the last part. And, Ren then sort of directly addresses us, the audience, breaking the illusion of the sort of storytelling that he's done up until now. This ain't entertainment, this is real life. Now, this again sort of reinforces that Jimmy's story is not just fiction, it reflects real world issues. So the way we live in lunacy, community, it declines. Absolutely, society is falling apart. We've got division, selfishness, disconnection, all those replacing unity. Yeah. Hyperpolarized, always fighting, then we divide. Yeah, this sort of refers to, last line, to increasing divisions then in society, whether it's political, racial, economical, ideological, take your pick. probably all four and a bit more. Where we're not working together, we're constantly at war with one another. The truth is less important than the money we designed. Again, this sort of questions how our society prioritise profit over honesty, morality, and fact. Yeah. It references sort of corporate and political manipulation. Truth, again, is sacrificed for financial gain. Money's an invention, politics from our invention. They all come from people's ideas, did I mention? Yeah, again, concepts. These concepts only exist because people created them, meaning they're not absolute laws of nature, are they? Ren, again, is sort of highlighting that these systems are artificial, implying that, we can change them. They can be changed. We just need to stand up. Borders, our invention, law and order fuel the tension. Absolutely. So borders what are borders? Borders are man-made divisions. Nothing more, nothing less. And what do they do? What's the biggest thing those divisions create? Conflict. Nationalism, which is most likely, as history would suggest, then lead to war. So, yeah, absolutely. And then we had the law and order one, wasn't it? So, again, law and order, instead of protecting people, then, that law and order, again, throughout history, often become the tools of control and oppression. Yeah, so then we sort of go on to the where he's talking about a call for change then. So everything is subject to change. Now, what's the line? Yeah, everything is subject to change. We can build utopias if individuals are taught to use their brains. So yeah, if these systems are man-made, they can be redesigned. They can be changed. A hopeful vision. If people think critically instead of blindly following the system, a better world is possible. Let me know what you think. And then the line, but if we teach kids in school to always be sheep and put ourselves before the herd, if there's more money for me. The schools and sheep, or teach kids in school always be sheep. Again, society conditions people from childhood to follow orders. And by society, I mean literally everyone from your parents to your teachers to politicians, everybody who's seen as an authority. And put ourselves before the herd if there's more money for me. Again, the root problem, selfishness, is ingrained into the system. And if we as people, we are taught to prioritise personal gain over collective well-being, and with that, society is doomed. But personally, I think it is. I think we're sort of too far gone. But again, let me know your thoughts. Yeah. Where am I on? I've lost my lyrics. Oh, there we go. Then there's no future I see where the humans survive. Yeah, as I said, we're doomed. If things don't change, humanity will eventually destroy itself. We will eventually destroy ourselves. We're parasites inside a petri dish with cannibal minds. Nice metaphor. What's the best way to put this? Humans, we consume absolutely everything without really thinking about sustainability. And then we've got the cannibal mind, sort of suggests that, people prey on each other for survival, which they do. And I love this bit. Mold grows up on a surface, it consumes till it dies. Mold does indeed spread uncontrollably, to the point where mold will grow in an area, killing everything off. But then, if it can't go any further, it then dies itself. So, That's really cool. Spreads uncontrollably, and yeah, until it destroys its own environment then. And we're doing the same, humans are destroying the planet, we're destroying ourselves. That's all I've got to say about that bit. And our fate could be the same, so here's a story for the wise. Again, it's a warning. If we don't wake up, humanity is doomed to self-destruction. Let me know your thoughts on that one. Let's get back into it. See what Jimmy's up to.
"45. Jimmy comes home out of the rain, soaking wet upon a wheelchair, drinking again. He is everything he wants, he is fortune and fame. He's a fortunate fool with an unfortunate fate, with a 45 caliber aimed at his brain. 45 a fitting number cause his age is the same. Here's the words of his father, it's such a damn shame. Then he presses on the trigger of a money game."
Wow. That was absolutely brilliant. Fantastic piece of storytelling. And not just the storytelling, the whole sort of, well, just the whole thing. Yeah, so we're on to 45. It's the last moments of a broken man then, isn't it? 45, Jimmy comes home out of the rain, with, as he said, the 45 being symbolic as both his age and the caliber of the gun, but without being pedantic, it's a .45, the gun that he later uses. So I'm not too sure. I haven't touched much on the video, and what we're sort of seeing on the video, because I'm trying to concentrate on the lyrics and what Ren's telling us. But the rain sort of imagery there, so I know it says he comes in out of the rain, but again, the rain could also, sort of suggest sadness, cleansing, or even, or to me, a foreshadowing of his fate. It's, it's all very sad. Soaking wet upon a wheelchair, drinking again. Yeah, completely broken now, isn't he? Paralysed, addicted, and ultimately alone. He's now a shell of the man he once was. Everything he wants, he has, fortune and fame. He's a fortunate fool with an unfortunate fate. Yeah, absolutely. He achieved everything society values, yet he's miserable. This sort of contrasts material success then with personal failure. Despite all his wealth, he's unfulfilled, showing that money was never the answer. Yeah, I like that bit of, I like those few lines. And yeah, it's the ultimate irony we come to, don't we? With the 45 caliber aimed at his brain. As we said earlier, the same number that marked his age now marks his death. 45 fit number for his age. Because his age is .45, a fitting age, or a fitting number, because his age is the same. It's a nice poetic twist. His entire life's pursuit ends with a gun to his head. He hears the words of his father, such a damn shame. So even in his final moments, his father's voice haunts him. Despite everything that he did, he achieved, he never won his father's approval, did he? So, yeah. Never won his father's approval. Broken man. He presses on the trigger of a money game. So, yeah. And what is the money game? It's a game of wealth and power. It consumed his life and ends in his death. So yeah, his suicide is the ultimate statement then. Despite winning in society's eyes, he lost in every way that mattered. Wow. So yeah, a brutal critique of society. Jimmy's story isn't just about one man. It's a reflection of our world. So society glorifies greed, power, success, but at what cost? The systems we created. You know, money, politics, borders drives division and destruction. The illusion of success. Jimmy had everything, didn't he? But in the end, had nothing. Ended with nothing. True success isn't in wealth. It's in choose my words carefully. It's not in wealth. It's in meaning, purpose, human connection. Yeah, and then the whole sort of song is a warning to our future, isn't it? Ren, the narrator, is sort of urging us to, again, break the cycle. And, if we continue to prioritize profit over humanity, as I've said 3 or 4 other times, society is doomed. That ultimately the choice to change is in our hands. So, yeah. I'm going to leave it at that, or I'll end up talking for hours. But yeah, going to go back and listen to it and watch the visuals now without any breaks. But yeah, please do let me know. Let me know what you think. If you've got different sort of views and takes on things, leave them in the comments. I'll read them. And again, if you enjoyed this, please do like, subscribe, share. And yeah, then that's it really. Absolutely masterful piece of storytelling. So yeah, as always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.